Hey Maths Legends, we're going to look at seeing if we can read and interpret timetables today, and it's really important we can do that because these skills help us to use public transport, read timetables of transport, and also make sure that we can schedule in when we need to be places. Okay, let's have a look at what it's going to take to be successful at looking at the concept of timetabling. The first part is looking at the title and making sure that we can work out what information our timetable is showing us by looking at the title. Second thing is looking at columns and rows and how they will help us to be able to read information, understanding what they're telling us. See if there's any extra information and using it to interpret the graph, especially when there may be spots where there are no times. And the last one there is being able to read through questions carefully, looking at keywords or key groups of words so that we can answer the questions correctly. So let's have a quick look at this example to start with, and we can see here that we've got a map and it's of Sydney Harbour, and you can see that it's got all the different stops there with the little red dot. What it then does down the bottom is it tells us, shows us our timetable. Now if I quickly highlight the title, here it is here, it actually tells us a little bit of information about this graph. So it says here, Sydney Harbour Ferry Company. So it's about the ferries that are in Sydney Harbour. Really important we know that because that helps us to comprehend and understand what the timetable is telling us. The next thing that we look at when we're trying to work out what our timetable is telling us is we look at firstly the rows, and let's have a look at them, and you can see here that we've got the different days of the week. So I know that if we are moving across our page, that we know that they are the times that the ferries meet at each of the different stops. If we then look at the top, and I'm going to do this in orange, we can see the different stops. So here's Circular Quay, Manly, Mossman, Taronga Zoo, Kirribilli, the Olympic Park, Darling Harbour, and Circular Quay. So if we read down there, that's when each of the different ferries leave on each day Circular Quay. So you can see in Circular Quay, the first ferry leaves at 7 a.m. every day except for Saturday, which is 8 a.m. Now, if we have a look here, and this is where I talked about extra information, you can see that I have some spaces that don't have time in them. Now, this is where we're going to need to start to think about what this is telling us. What can we interpret from our timetable knowing that there is no time there? Well, I can make it an assumption and I can start using my brain to think that if there is no time, it must mean that the ferry does not stop there. So on Tuesday, the ferry at no stage stops at Taronga Zoo or Kirribilli or Darling Harbour. It skips those stops and it goes straight to the next stop. Does the same on Thursday and the same on Saturday. Don't know why that's the case, but we might find out a little bit later. All right, so what I've done now is I've got some examples for us to quickly look at. We've got the exact same timetable above. So you can see here, we've got the Sydney Harbour Ferry Company's timetable. We know that we looked at, again, the columns and the rows. We looked at the rows and saw that there were the days of the week. We looked at across the top on the columns. We can see that they're the different stops. It says here that we're going to use this timetable to answer these questions. So let's look now at the first question and let's pick out some really key information. What time, so we know time, does the Wednesday ferry arrive at Olympic Park? So here's Olympic Park, Wednesday, the time. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Wednesday. I'm going to find Olympic Park. Here they are here. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to go across here and I'm going to have a look at the time that's left on Wednesday at Olympic Park. So I know that it comes in there and it arrives at 8:40 a.m. Now it's important that if we're writing the time that we make sure that we put the AM or the PM in, because when we're reading timetables we need to do that, otherwise some people might get confused at whether it's morning or afternoon. All right, let's look at the next one. How long does the ferry trip take from Circular Quay to Mossman? So let's have a look to start off with. Here is Circular Quay. Here is Mossman. We then need to look at the times that we've got. Now we can see every single day, except for Saturday, the times are the same, 7 and 7:40 a.m. Now if I was to use my thinking here, I would know straight away that it is 40 minutes difference between when it leaves Circular Quay at 7 o'clock and arrives at Mossman at 7:40. So I'm going to write in here 40 minutes. And I know that because it says how long does this trip take. So I know it's 40 minutes, not wanting a time. And the last one here says how long does the round trip take on Mondays. Now, probably the important part here is to know what it means by a round trip. And the other part we need to know is how long. And the last part we need to know is Mondays. So first thing we need to do, I'm going to use yellow here, we're going to look at Mondays. Now, it's important to know what a round trip means. Now, a round trip means that it would start somewhere, it would go to every single stop and come back to where it started from. It may not be a perfect circle, but what it means is it goes all the way out and comes back to the same place. So the only place here that I can see that it comes back to is Circular Quay. Circular Quay, Circular Quay. I then need to look at the starting time, which is 7, and the finishing time, which is 9:20. Now to work this out, I'd use my jump method. So I know 7 to 8 would be 1 hour. 8 to 9 would be 2 hours. And then 9 to 9:20 is 20 minutes. So I have 2 hours and 20 minutes. Now I'd like you to have a go now. And I've got 3 questions for you. I want you to have a go, stop the video. We've already looked at the timetable and how we read that timetable. So what I want you to do is see if you can read that timetable. Now, important information is key. So if I look at the first question and help you out here, how long does it take? So we've got how long. So that's a time, so hours and minutes. The ferry take to travel from Circular Quay to Manly. Now, it doesn't matter what day, but we're going to start at Circular Quay, end up at Manly. And we need a how long, so the time would be either a minute or an hours. Stop the video now, try the first 3 questions, and I'll come back and I will mark them for you. All right, great to have you back. Let's have a look. Circular Quay to Manly, we know it would be 30 minutes. How long does a round trip take on a Thursday? Well, let's have a look at the Thursday round trip. So we know that round trip means, wrong pen, wrong pen. 7 o'clock on Thursday, and it gets back at 8:55. Now, I can use my jump method again. And the way I use my jump method is I will jump to 8, then to 9, that's 2 hours, and then I'll take away 5 minutes. So it's 2 hours less 5 minutes, which would be 1 hour, 55 minutes. The last one is, what time is the ferry expected at Taronga Zoo on Wednesday? So what time? So that's looking at like AM or PM. Expected at Taronga Zoo and Wednesday. So we look at Wednesday, we go to Taronga Zoo, here it is here, and I know it would be 8 AM.